Hello,
I
everybody. Welcome. Um, Miss Judy and I are so excited today. Of course, I am Lucy Tightbox this evening because we are talking both about the Dabbleverse and about the AFROMAN case, which recently had a verdict in it. And we are going to be comparing the AFROMAN case to the wonderful, wonderful lawsuit where Stuttering John Melendez is suing podcasters Carl from Who Are These Podcasts and Shuli from the Shuli Network. And Miss Judy, I am so excited to be doing this with you. I think before we get started in talking about first the AFROMAN case and then its application to the Stuttering John lawsuit, as well as quite a bit more details about the Stuttering John lawsuit, because quite a bit has happened. Why don't we just remind everybody where they can find both of our channels? So you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Sure. Mine is AA Legal Focus, which I think Shuli said that John has no AA or legal focus in his life. So that was a good one. Thanks,
That is
Shuli.
the that is the perfect way to describe it. An easy way to remember Judy's channel. And of
Uh,
course, you can find me on Once Over with Kaylee, Cayley. So please, please make sure that you are supporting both of our channels. Miss Judy is doing tons of amazing legal commentary over there. She, of course, works with Vince the lawyer sometimes. Are you guys still doing, is it Tuesday night streams?
yeah, see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
so his channel actually has close to 200K subscribers. So please support him, Loophole Lawyer. Yeah,
Yes.
pretty surprising, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
People like what they like. It's always exciting. So you kind of came up with this idea for us to start talking about the AFROMAN lawsuit and how it applies to Stuttering John's lawsuit. So I think everybody is very familiar with the AFROMAN lawsuit, but perhaps we should just give a little bit of background on that one before we get into the Stuttering John stuff. So
Mm.
I'm going to start just kind of giving everybody the timeline on that. And please, Miss Judy, stop and interrupt me when I've gotten something wrong. I have a couple of questions for you actually about this lawsuit, since, of course, you are an attorney and I am not. And there's a couple of things I thought were a little wacky. So
Okay.
I would love to get your opinion on them. So,
Sure.
of course, this lawsuit basically started, or at least the timeline of this lawsuit started back in August of 2022 when police officers from the sheriff's office in Adams County, Ohio, raided the home of AFROMAN, whose real name is Joseph Foreman. And during this raid, they had a search warrant that was based upon suspected drug trafficking and also kidnapping. So, child trafficking, I guess. Now, this is my first question about this lawsuit. Does this mean that a judge would have had to sign off on a search warrant in order for these
Yes.
sheriff's deputies? So
Yes,
do we
exactly.
do we
So
know
you
what the
can't,
go ahead.
uh, oh, you can't totally fault the sheriff's deputies because it wasn't their decision to go there.
Yeah.
But the way they behaved, and they were caught on security camera thanks to Afroman having security cameras inside his home. I mean, it was pretty funny as well as disturbing the way they, shot a bird at his security camera. And they were, digging through all his suit jacket pockets and took his cash. And, clearly they weren't looking for human trafficking victims in a dungeon, which is what the so called informant told them. And
Yeah.
she turned out to be some sort of vindictive former girlfriend or friends with benefits that Afroman had.
The scorned ex-lover. Of course,
Hmm.
that's what it would have had to be. And of course,
Yeah.
everybody knows AFROMAN from his most famous song, Because I Got High. Is that your
Yeah.
major familiarity with him also?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it had been so many years since I even thought of this guy, but everyone knows his song. So it surprised me when some YouTubers said they never even heard of his song. It's like, what rock were you hiding under back in 2000 or something? But
That's
yeah. So, but this has been great for him. Like, he has a big resurgence now. I'm a big
yes.
fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually, of course, I know the song Because I Got High, but my favorite song of his was always Colt 45, which I think the real name of that song is like Crazy Rap. It is a very silly song. I would highly recommend checking that out. And of course, the way that Afro Man is having this huge resurgence is that after these sheriff's deputies came and raided his house, they allegedly seized some of his money, and some of that money went missing. And so he got very angry at both the money that they allegedly stole and also all the property damage, which amounted, I believe, to about $20,000 worth of property damage to doors and gates and equipment. And of course, we've all seen the footage of this. It is humorous to say the least. So Afro Man responded in the way that any good musical artist and comedian does, which is that he created songs and music videos, including the security footage, and also making fun of these cops very, very, very loudly. We are all
Yeah.
familiar with, of course, lemon pound cake.
That was great. That was great. I mean, this has created so much laughter and joy. You know, as disturbing as it is, he said he made some good times out of bad times. So that's what you do as an entertainer is, you know, find some humor, make it profitable to yourself and entertain people. So it's pretty impressive what he managed to do.
Yeah, I think it's been said before that he made lemons or lemon pound cake out of lemons, I think is what people have been saying. And Miss
Yeah.
Judy, I'm not sure if you are frozen or if I am frozen or if everybody is frozen. It might be an issue on my end. I'm hoping you can see me
Oh,
and people can see us. Oh, you just unfroze for me. So hopefully
oh,
whatever
okay.
issue that was on my end and is resolved now. I apologize.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Do you mind if I play some of this stuff? Because it's
Go
just so
for it.
hilarious.
It really is.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm not going to play it with sound because then we'll get a copyright strike.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see here. Okay. This is from his security camera footage.
And from the song, Will You Help Me Repair My Door?
Yeah. Okay. So there's the guy taking a look at his lemon pound cake.
Yep. Oh,
Mhm.
beautiful. So this is Sheriff's Deputy. I believe this is Sean Cooley, if I remember correctly. He is gone viral with the nickname Lemon Pound Cake after that double take he does on the lemon pound cake, which is pretty adorable. I would have done it
Yeah.
too.
Well, he later claimed that he was just trying to look at a gun holster that happened to be near there. But I mean, it's still hilarious though. So I don't know why they got so upset that they sued him. They were clearly looking for a payday.
Yes, I think so as well. And in fact, the damages that they were seeking, the damages that these deputies were seeking, the 7 of them, was almost $4 million in damages. And what they claimed within this lawsuit, which they filed in March of 2023, they claimed that Afroman used their likeness without permission. We've all heard that kind of language in the Stuttering John lawsuit, of course. They claimed that that Afroman caused humiliation, mental distress, and reputational damage, which again we've heard similar claims in the Stuttering John lawsuit, and that amounted to defamation and invasion of privacy. Again, all things we're kind of hearing in the Stuttering John lawsuit. So these things do really kind of tie in together. What Afroman ended up arguing was that this footage that he used in these music videos was footage from one, his own surveillance video, and two, that it was protected by free speech.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you guys might have just heard John saying tonight that, wait a second, this is totally different from this lawsuit for Afroman or against him, which I do agree it is mostly different because the First Amendment doesn't have anything to do with this whole, John Melendez lawsuit. And this case against Afro Man was more defamation because they felt like afterwards they were being harassed and slandered, and then they suffered distress from these videos. So it's a different situation.
It's absolutely a different situation. Which lawsuit would you say is broader and more complicated? Do you think that the AFROMAN lawsuit has an easier ruling on it for a jury, or do you think that the Stuttering John lawsuit is going to be an easier decision?
Well, it's hard to say because I kept thinking, how come this AFROMAN lawsuit went forward? Because it could have been disposed of with a motion for summary judgment, and the judge dismissed his counterclaims. So it seemed a little bit biased to me, but I don't want to say something totally conclusive because I didn't have time to read every single filing, but I did listen to most of the depot transcripts. And, it just seems like, how did this frivolous lawsuit go forward? It seemed so unfair because AfroMan is an entertainer. He was trying to be funny. And can I show that Lick 'em Low Lisa thing?
Yes, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, since we're all about entertaining people, this one, let's see. Since Vince likes to take other people's content and stuff, let's share something from his, which is he called it "A Cop Breaks Down at a Deposition." So how did you feel about this Lisa, what's her last name? Lisa Phillips situation?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of sympathy for her. I think that's the best way that I can kind of describe her. She didn't come across to me as likable. I don't know. That's not necessarily the best thing to say about a lawsuit, especially about her deposition and then about her further testimony during the actual trial itself. But I don't know. There was something about her that I don't care. Lick 'em low, Lisa. Come on. What about you?
Yeah, it's kind of like, look, you're a cop or a sheriff's deputy, and you're so thin-skinned that you're gonna start crying because people are saying that you look like a man, or you
Yeah.
probably had a sex change, or you're licking every pussy around. I mean,
Listen,
it was so funny.
it's so funny. It's completely crazy to me when people get that butthurt about things. But I guess thin-skinned is maybe a good way to describe Lick 'em low, Lisa.
It's like law enforcement should be able to withstand this. But
Yes.
instead, when her attorney kept showing the whole video, which is so funny. I love it. You guys gotta watch it. Like every time I watch it, I start busting out in laughter because it's so funny on OG Afro Man. But then she's there like boo-hooing on the stand. And it's like, okay, you're trying to claim that you deserve damages for this. It's comedy. So
Yes.
it's just kind of silly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I believe that you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, if you know the answer to it. I believe that police officers are actually considered to be public officials when they're performing their official duties. So in
Yeah.
that sense, they become a public figure. Is that do you know about that? Is that correct? That's my
Sounds about
understanding. I
right to
could be
me.
totally wrong. I could be
I
totally
mean,
wrong.
okay, disclaimer is, we don't practice law in Ohio or New York. So this is just for entertainment purposes.
Yes.
So always consult a licensed attorney in your jurisdiction.
Yes.
Mhm.
All
Okay.
right, let's check this video
Okay,
out.
let's play this because it's so funny. This is great.
You call it guy because of your voice. They're asking you got a pecker. How'd you like that?
Lick 'em low, Lisa. Eat my ex-wife just like pizza.
I have not had sex change. I do not have a penis. Lieutenant Lick 'em low, Lisa Phillips. I'm not a crooked cop. I'm not a thief. And I sure don't have a penis.
Lisa, I'm sorry. I didn't know that hurt you like that. Yo, you're a cop. You guys raided my house. You knocked down my door. I was upset.
She'll pull your woman over, spread her legs and feel them lips.
The client dancing in the driveway. saying how I look pussy, and I need to learn how to count how many pussies I've licked.
This is Officer Lisa Phillips. She sued Joseph Edgar Foreman. You may know him as AFROMAN for defamation. This is the deposition before the trial. Let's watch.
You know, and this has made it to where I have to swallow because of things that's being said. Are you Lieutenant Licking Low, Lisa Phillips, pussy licking
I
Phillips?
love
Like
how
you're at Walmart and you called a guy because of your voice, or asking if you got a pecker.
I love how pleased Vince looks there. He's excited about this, which is a joy to see excitement over what a silly situation. And of course, these clips
Yeah.
have gone completely viral because they're so absurd.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, he said he really enjoyed meeting you at
Oh,
Rodney's.
great. Yay. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Meeting Vince was lovely. Meeting everybody was lovely. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah. I think he was totally drunk, though. Did
Oh,
you get that?
I saw him very early on in the night, and then he and I were sitting on like total opposite ends of the room, so I hardly saw him for the rest of the evening. So I think I saw him only one other time later in the night, and he didn't seem drunk at that point to me, but you never know by the end of the night.
He's just
And
being
also,
himself. Yeah.
and I had tied one on. Let's be honest. I was having a great time. It was lovely.
That's great. Did you actually break up some sort of fight between him
Oh
and
my
Zen?
God, no. No, I tried
Okay.
to. They were in the middle of their own thing. So the situation that happened there was Vince and Zen were doing this you don't touch me fighting that we've seen the video footage of. And I went up to them for about a quarter of a second and I was like, all right, boys, calm down. That didn't do anything. They didn't break eye contact with each other. So I walked right to the bar and had a wonderful drink with the Cheddar BMC. It was lovely.
Okay, great. Well, sounds like it was a fun night.
I had a great time.
Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, getting back to this though, I mean, it kind of backfired on everyone because who would have thought that filing a civil lawsuit would attract so much international attention? Wasn't this totally crazy? Like it made AfroMan go viral and,
Again.
you know, everyone hates these sheriff's deputies and we're making fun of them, 10,000 times more.
Yeah, it truly is a case of the Streisand effect, where if they had not filed this lawsuit, they would not be getting made fun of to the extent that they are getting made fun of now. I don't think that there would have been nearly as much attention if they had not filed this lawsuit.
Yeah, totally. I mean, think how embarrassing. So Lisa Phillips said that she was embarrassed because some kid at her daughter's school asked her if her mom had had a sex change. And then she said, people would yell that at her when they saw her. She didn't want to provide info on her mental health history, though. So that's very suspicious because that's definitely part of your damages if you're the plaintiff.
Yeah, do you think that it would have been hard for these sheriff's deputies as plaintiff to actually prove damages if we had gotten to that point?
Yeah, well, they did try to prove damages because they got all the way to a jury trial.
Yeah.
So, they just couldn't prove their damages. I mean, it's like all you can say is, oh, my daughter came home from school all upset. And I don't want to talk about my medical history. So don't ask me about that, And then she's crying on the stand. So yeah. So this is actually part of the spoof. This is not real. It's comedy. So
Yes,
can I
absolutely.
play this?
Sure.
Okay, let's play a tiny bit more.
Then she went down on my spouse. I just don't know what I'm gonna do. She gonna eat your wife's Lisa licked that percent. Lisa licked that.
The uncensored version was playing right in front of Lisa, and for some reason, she could not handle the fact that some women perform oral sex on others. What's the big deal?
Lick 'em low, Lisa. Full of shit, Phillips. She'll pull your woman over, spread her legs, and fill them lips.
Neither party offered any evidence to indicate whether or not that's true.
AfroMan dancing along.
Look at Lisa used to toss my salad for hours. Lisa used to lay on the floor and let me piss in her mouth.
Is this part of it?
Some attorney, he didn't know that was at the ending. You're bringing a damn defamation case. You should know what's in the video, especially what's at the end.
Live 'em low Lisa used to toss my salad for hours.
Yeah. Vince makes a great point there. There were definitely times in both the actual trial and in the depositions that it seemed like the attorneys were a little bit underprepared, misremembering names of songs and things like that. It was a little bit bizarre, but the defense did end up winning, of course. AFROMAN ended up winning this case after only 3 days of trial, if I remember correctly, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was over so quickly. I didn't even know anything about this trial, but then Vince told me, and I was like, "Oh, hold up, this is hilarious. We got to cover it." So I did some shorts on it, which got tons of views. But now the case is over, and I'm not sure how much interest there is.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
will say something that was very interesting to me. And again, I would love to kind of get your opinion as an attorney. Obviously, you don't practice in Ohio, and this isn't necessarily the type of civil law that you practice. But something I found very unique about this trial was that AFROMAN, the defense witnesses, there was actually only 2 defense witnesses. There was AFROMAN himself, and then there was Rhonda Grooms, who was the ex-wife of Sean Grooms, who was
Mhm.
one of the actual sheriff's deputies who was plaintiff in this case. And I thought it was such a bold move. Of course, you guys will remember this is the wet ass pussy testimony. That is who Rhonda Grooms is. She was asked all about the song Wet Ass Pussy. But I thought it was a very bold move to call an ex-wife of one of these deputies because she could just be considered a scorned ex. What do you think? Have you seen that happen before where there's only 2 defense witnesses and one of them is such a risky one?
Sure, she wasn't really that risky because I'm sure they had spoken with her before and probably taken her deposition. So she seemed very credible. And the reason why she was relevant is because Mr. Grooms claimed that his marriage broke down because of AFROMAN's songs making fun of him. But of course, AFROMAN was saying, no, it's because you were having sex with young girls or, grooming them. And so that's why he made that parody saying, Sean grooming groom, stop grooming.
Yes. Yeah.
That's hilarious too. You guys got to watch it. Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
So I wasn't surprised. I thought the ex-wife was a very credible witness. So
I did.
sorry,
I did
my
too.
voice is dying. God.
No.
Okay, so keep talking.
Yes,
please.
yes, of course. Well,
Well-
why don't we see? I see that we have some super chats. Do you want
Oh.
me to read some of those? If you'll pull them up, I'll happily read them
Thank
so you can have a little
Thank
voice
you guys
break.
so much. Please subscribe to both channels.
Yes, please. All right,
Okay.
first up, we have Mark Turnquist coming in for $10 with a super sticker. Thank you so very much, Mark. I don't
Thank
know how
you.
to make those super stickers show on the super chats. Do you know how to do that? Because I always want to see what they are.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you just click on it.
Yeah.
Click on it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
what's the next
So,
one?
hey, Florida. Thank you.
We got Florida 49er fan coming in for $10. Thank you so very much. Hi, Lucy and Judy, the 2 prettiest women in the Dabbleverse. That is very sweet.
Aw,
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Don't you feel like as you get older, you really appreciate compliments more instead of just being mad and disgusted by people's sexism?
Anytime that I walk by a construction area and I get catcalled, I'm like, yes,
Please,
still got
Please,
it.
more.
Yeah, yes. Objectify me. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
And we got the Creep Off, Vinny from the Creep Off coming in for $5. Crazy Rap was my favorite too. I love Crazy Rap, and Vinny, I love you. Obviously, vote Vinny for the Creep Off.
Thank you.
And Aaron Brown, the wonderful Aaron Brown, coming in for $5. How common is it for police to disconnect security cams? Isn't that an act easily winnable in court? It sounds so shady. Removing my cap. Hello, Kaylee. Hello, Aaron.
Oh, thank you, Aaron.
Do you know this?
I don't know how common it is, but this was actually so unusual because you kind of thought that, wait a second, is AFROMAN on trial for something criminal? But it was actually a civil lawsuit that the sheriff's deputies brought against him because he was making fun of them and it made them feel bad. So, yeah, so this wasn't any sort of lawsuit where he was suing them for damaging his property, probably because there's some immunity there. There's usually some sort of immunity.
Yeah, I know that there is. I think you're right. I know I've read something about that in relation to the AFROMAN case, but something that you actually sent me, and which I spent a little bit of time reading, is the ACLU filing this. I can't remember what it's called. Can you remind me what it's called?
Amicus.
Yes,
Amicus
the
brief.
amicus. The
Yes.
amicus brief that argued that the AFROMAN case looked like a slap case because it was against speech criticizing the police. And so that was, first of all, an interesting similarity to the Stuttering John lawsuit, but also it definitely suggests that AFROMAN had damages because of this. There definitely are some. AFROMAN did not get out, despite the fact that he is more popular than possibly ever. He didn't get out completely free and clear of damages that these police officers caused to him. He's just having more fun with it than they are.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why people love him now, because they're like, hey, this guy is cool. Look, he made fun of these punks and we're laughing with him.
Yes.
So good for him for
Yes.
making the lemon pound cake out of lemons. And
Yes.
I'm sure he's made back that $24,000 cost to repair his fence and his door.
I am sure that he will have the nicest gate and the nicest door in all of the land.
Yeah. If I were him, I would have moved, though. It doesn't sound like a good place to live with such crooked cops.
And also, it's Ohio. It's got to be horrible. Come on. Who even would want to be in Ohio at all? Yeah, the Adams County Sheriff's Department doesn't seem totally great. I actually don't know if any of these sheriff's deputies are still working there. I don't know if they've had a turnover based upon this. I suspect that many of these deputies probably don't want to work for that office anymore. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, there was that, what's that, Officer Poundcake's son. He said that he had to take 5 months off because it was so stressful for him. And then he voluntarily quit the job because it was just so stressful, having phone calls from people.
I know the sheriff's office was getting sent a lot of lemon pound cakes. I think that Mr. Lemon Pound Cake himself, I think he quoted something like 1,000 lemon pound cakes.
Yeah, or hundreds.
Yeah, I can't remember what he said, but he said it during trial. So I'm sure it's only more than that now that the trial is over, because so many people didn't even know about the trial until it was over.
Yeah, exactly.
Aaron Brown is coming in for another $5. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time that we ended qualified immunity because people in the military have stricter rules of engagement than police officers do. Time for a change. I don't know that I'm knowledgeable enough about any of that to agree or disagree, but there's definitely challenges when it comes to the rules that authority figures have compared to a civilian. And I have a lot of thoughts on that, but that's probably a different episode.
Yeah. So you could write to your state legislators if you want some sort of change. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And now we have Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast, coming in for $5. And he says,
Hey.
I was going to watch you talk about law, but I got high. That was my worst ever. I tried really hard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. You're very talented. Okay, thank you.
I gotta tell you, I don't understand. I love the concept of the song Lemon Pound Cake, but I just don't know why anybody would want to listen to any song. I get that it's comedy and parody. I don't understand why anybody would want to listen to the melody of Under the Boardwalk ever. That is one of the most boring. I can't stand Under the Boardwalk, so I can't listen to Lemon Pound Cake, dang it. Not for me.
That's what makes it even better, because it brings back that nostalgia. Yeah. And One of the cops said that he loved the 60s songs, 60s and 70s. So I'm like, then you should love Lemon Pound Cake
Yeah,
because
that
it's
should be your
sung to
favorite
the
one.
tune of the Volty.
That
Yeah.
should absolutely be that one.
Mhm.
Now I mentioned just a little bit ago, I think we'll kind of start pivoting unless you have more that you'd like to talk about with Afro Man.
Go
We'll
ahead.
start pivoting into talking about some more Stuttering John centric things. And I
Mhm.
want to kind of make that transition by looking at, again, we talked about the slap vibes within the Afro Man lawsuit, which of course relates to that ACLU Americus. Why can't I remember what that's called?
Amicus. It's
Amicus.
Latin for
Thank
friend,
you.
friend of the court.
Oh,
So it's like a
that makes sense.
totally optional filing from someone who is not actually a party to the lawsuit, but it's typically these nonprofit groups that try to lobby for certain things. So way back when I used to be active with the state trial lawyers group, they would often have like a amicus brief committee, if there was something important where they felt like they had to take a stance and they wanted to jump into some civil suit and, give their views. Yeah.
So
So
was there
it happens.
has there been a ruling yet on this?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh,
Because this had to do with a civil lawsuit, which is over now. So,
got it.
by the way, I did want to mention like 20 years ago, I was the secretary of the state ACLU. So, so I was like kind of excited. I was like, hey, this case is right up my alley because I've done defamation cases. I won a trial 12 years ago, back when I could speak normally. So, ACLU got involved. So it's very interesting from a intellectual perspective. Mhm.
Yeah. And of
Yeah.
course, these slap suits and these, slap vibe suits are all about aiming to stop criticism. And so, of course, that is one of the main themes that we see within both the Afro Man case and the Stuttering John lawsuit. Within the Afro Man case, the sheriff's deputies wanted to stop Afro Man from criticizing them. And within Stuttering John's lawsuit, he wants to have Carl and Shuli stop criticizing him. Now, that's not necessarily the basis of his claims, but you and I have talked previously, and you have also talked with quite a few other people on wonderful, wonderful streams that you've done about the fact that parts of Stuttering John's lawsuit do read like he would like to stop that criticism.
Yeah, he still heard about it. So
Yes.
once again, it makes me think of Lick 'em Low Lisa Phillips because it's like, it's funny. Why can't she just kind of laugh along with it and keep doing her job? Like, why'd you have to file a lawsuit? People are having fun. You're entertaining people. And of course, Lisa is different because she's not a comedian. But if you're a comedian, don't you want to bring joy and laughter to more people? This is all good stuff, right? Rising tide lifts all ships, right?
Yes. If you are a comedian, you should understand it even more. In fact, at some point, I was telling one of my friends about the Stuttering John lawsuit, and they knew nothing about it. And so I kind of described it briefly. And I also had to, of course, explain who Stuttering John was. That's not something that we always know. When you did that wonderful stream with Professor Joe, it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like, well, I know who even knows who Stuttering John is. There's quite a few people who don't. And in situations like that, when I explained this lawsuit and also who Stuttering John was to my friend, they said, well, but he's a comedian. Shouldn't he understand how to take a joke more than anybody else? And
Yeah.
I always kind of thought that that was a very interesting and unique aspect to this case, where it definitely differs a lot from the Afro Man suit, because these were police officers. And even if they were public officials when they were performing their official duties, it definitely is not meaning that they are within the comedy realm. So they might not be as used to this sort of jokey, funny, mockery
Like
sort of
yeah,
criticism.
bunch of people
Parody.
laughing.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. But I think John is also upset, or his case has to do with the plaintiff's making money off of him. So that's
Absolutely.
the issue, is using his image, and he said his voice, um,
So
to make profit.
something that I did find interesting, actually, let me jump back just for a second to the Afro Man case, if you don't mind. I'm gonna put a little image here, if you don't mind. I think I need you to
Sure.
put that up on the
Oh, okay.
stage.
Here we go.
So
Okay.
what this is, let me pull it over here so I can actually read it for myself.
Yeah, really
So what
small.
Yes, what this is a pre-trial decision within the AFROMAN case. So this was a decision where the judge partially denied some of the issues that were going to be going to trial. And specifically what the judge is denying in this section here that I've clipped is that there was an issue of monetary value relating to the officers' likenesses within the actual videos that AfroMan created. So the judge here rules before the trial of AfroMan actually started. The judge actually rules that this is not going to go to trial and that this aspect of the sheriff's deputy's case is dismissed. This didn't even make it to the trial. So I'll read a little bit of this. And again, Miss Judy, please stop me if you have questions or if you have clarifications about things. So this
Okay.
says in this case, in the case of Afroman, the value that seems to be at issue here is not the monetary value of the officers' likenesses, which appears to be nominal. Instead, the issue appears to be the humiliation and outrage that the officers feel at having their likenesses displayed and mocked by the defendant. I almost feel like I could take that language and put it into Stuttering John's case and have a judge say something very similar. Does that strike you as really, really parallel to what a judge might eventually rule in John's case?
Sure, because there's also a pending motion to dismiss, to get rid of
Yes.
John's lawsuit right now. And I still don't, I mean, I don't know how they do things in New York, obviously, but typically it's up to the plaintiff's attorney to drive the case along. And if you file a motion, it's up to you to schedule it for a hearing. Those things typically are not ruled on just by the judge, behind the scenes. There's typically some sort of hearing where each side gets to make some sort of argument. So I don't know why they didn't just go ahead and schedule that.
Yeah, I agree. And you started out saying something that I have thought has been very interesting about Stuttering John's case this whole time, which is that the plaintiff, Stuttering John, and his attorneys don't seem to be driving the case forward. It seems like the defense team are the ones who are really requesting things to get scheduled and requesting the case to
Oh,
move forward, which is very bizarre for me. I know that I have not seen that regularly in court cases. It seems very irregular, I guess you could say.
yeah. And for the audience that might not know you, how long have you been a paralegal?
So I started doing paralegal and legal assistant work, oh boy, about 13 or 14 years ago, someplace in that
Oh,
vicinity. So
uh-huh.
I've worked within the legal practice in various sectors of it for a very long time. I've never been an attorney. I've always said I have no interest in being an attorney. I absolutely love getting to do the digging and the research that is involved with being a paralegal and a legal assistant. So for me, that is the super fun part of legal work. And at
Oh,
least in my state and within my law firm, the way that we kind of delegate work is that the legal assistants and the paralegals are kind of doing the research in order to queue it up for the attorneys, and that's what I enjoy doing. So I don't want to do anything else. I love it. I think
well,
it's so much
just
fun.
to be, I just want to be nosy, but
Yeah.
why? I mean, you seem so smart and articulate.
Well,
You
thank
have
you.
attention to detail. So why don't you want to go to law school?
I think that the only type of law that I would actually want to practice if I were an attorney would that I would want to be a public defense attorney. And
Mhm.
there's not a lot of money in that. So there's not a lot of reason to
Yeah.
go to law school for that. And again, I
Yeah.
get to do a lot of like that digging and research within my current career. So how can anybody complain about that? If you're getting fulfilled at your job, that's the only thing that you can ask for. It's the same way that I get to dig for stuff when you and I are doing videos like this, all the AfroMan research that I've been doing over the last couple of days. It's so fun to dig into that nitty gritty, and that's what I get to do in my day job. So I couldn't possibly be happier. If I wasn't getting to do that, I would probably want to be an attorney, but it's not worth it.
Okay. Yeah. I thought about being a public defender also
Yeah.
when I was a law student. And I think the starting salary for a public defender, at least in Virginia, is probably about 58,000. So, given the cost of law school plus your loss of income, maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
But I do think that that would be a very interesting job to have. So, I mean, if I was ever going to do it, that's what, if I had all the money in the world, if money was no object, that might be something that I would consider doing.
Yeah.
Let me read just
Cool.
one more section of this
Sure.
and then we can move on. So this again is the from the AFROMAN lawsuit. This is where the judge is denying pre-trial all of the things relating to likeness that the plaintiffs, that the sheriff's deputies had brought up. So the judge says, after considering that commentary and criticism, as well as other facts contained in the complaint, the court finds, as a matter of law, that while their quality and appropriateness may be questioned, the defendant's artistic and musical renderings have substantial and creative content which outweighs any adverse effect on the plaintiffs in terms of their right of publicity. And again, we of course know that Stuttering John is suing Carl and Shuli from Who Are These Podcasts and the Shuli Network, respectively, based on right of publicity and privacy. So again, I think that this particular decision within the AfroMan lawsuit certainly has a lot of applications to what we've been seeing within Stuttering John's lawsuit. And of course, Stuttering John's lawsuit has had quite a few exciting things within the last couple of days because we got a new filing from the defense team. And I know
Yeah.
you have some specific things that you want to talk about with Stuttering John. Would you
Sure.
like it if I caught everybody up to where we are in the
Sure,
lawsuit?
sure.
And
Go
then
ahead.
you
Yeah.
want to take it away after that?
Sure.
Okay.
And do you plan to show that? Because it is very interesting. Like,
I
since
sure
when does
can.
a legal filing quote to Reddit and
I
Datlin Doofus? Isn't that
it is
hilarious?
crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Well, would you like to take the AfroMan portion off of the screen and then I will
Sure,
put
sure.
up,
Okay.
let me see
Yep.
if I can get that other one up. I'm a little slow at things,
Should we
but
look at these super chats or
yeah,
super
that's a great
stickers?
idea.
Okay, where did we end? Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah. Okay.
All right, we have
Mustrute. Thank you. 20 Mexican dollars. VTL is gonna strike you. Miss Judy is setting you up. Oh, come on. He's not going to do that. He likes us, right? We help him. Or I do. I help him.
I certainly hope that he likes me. I will find
Yeah.
out, I guess. We'll see what happens. You never
Yeah.
know.
He likes you.
never know.
He really likes you. Yeah.
Good.
Did he try to hug you in an inappropriate way?
No, I forget. There was I heard some story about that. I
Keanu.
was like, he didn't try to hug me at all. I think we shook hands. We were actually at a bar before the event even started, and he and I
Oh.
were both at the same bar. And he said,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, are you Lucy?" And I said, "Yes," and we shook hands. It was very polite.
Oh, well, maybe he was intimidated by Carl, right?
I
Carl
don't think
was there.
Carl was actually there at that point. I'm pretty sure that I think that the only other there was a handful of people who were hanging out. So I think it was Poker Mike, Anthony Cumia, and then maybe a couple of other people, but I don't think that Carl was actually at that portion. I
Oh.
think he showed up later than that. So well,
Oh,
we'll see.
okay.
You never
Well,
know.
gee, that's interesting. Okay. Good to hear.
A-
Hi, Aaron. Thank you.
Aaron Brown is saying $2. Thank you so much. Time to be able to gift memberships. Let's go. I am very lazy with setting up gifted memberships. Miss Judy, do you have gifted memberships on AA Legal Focus?
I think I do because Dr. Steve gifted memberships in the
Hey.
past. So
All right.
it's been a
Well,
while, but thank you.
go over to AA Legal Focus, gift memberships over there. Miss Judy is totally worth it. She puts out amazing,
Oh.
amazing content. So
I don't know if it's always amazing, but thank you
It's
very
true.
much.
it's
I
true.
mean, if it's something I personally care about, then I kind of go gung ho, like that whole Dan Markel murder case. So that's what
Yeah.
really made my channel. Yeah. So, okay.
And we got Johnny Knoxville coming in with $2. Hello, ladies.
Yay. Thank you.
All of this over a little bit of weed. Oh yes. It's a weird world that we live in, isn't it? Thank you so much,
No,
Johnny Knoxville.
it actually wasn't just some weed. It was just like allegations that he was a drug dealer and he was keeping women against their will in a dungeon in his basement, but he had no basement. So they tore up his house, they ripped off his gate and door and rifled through his stuff and took some money. That's his allegation. Then he made musical parodies. So they got mad and he got sued. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Of course.
But
Logic.
Thank you. Okay.
Florida 49er fan coming in for $10. What do you ladies think of John's broken wrist? I'm not a doctor, but I have had a lot of major injuries, including broken bones. That amount of internal bleeding is a bad sign. Miss Judy, do you want to address that one first?
Hey, I'm not a doctor either. I mean, my dad was one, but yeah. Well, didn't he say that he slipped on some tiles in his bathroom?
Yes. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't even know anymore. It's impossible to keep track of what he's actually saying and what's real and what's not, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I definitely, anybody who breaks a bone knows that completely stinks. I don't wish broken bones upon anybody. So I
Mhm.
guess I hope the best for him. Sending healing vibes his way. You guys are all gonna hate me saying that, but I don't like it when
We
people
wish
are.
him well. Like,
Yeah.
he's just going to come out and start yelling at us and calling us a bunch of dumb fucks that don't know anything about
Yep.
right of publicity law. We didn't do legal research, so we need to just shut our traps and stop being dumb fucks. Yeah.
It's my favorite.
But-
I actually like it better when you say it, though. You can call me a dumb
Yeah.
fuck anytime, Miss Judy.
Yeah, but see, I don't take it personally because to me it's so funny. It's like, haha, this is even funnier that he's like yelling and ranting and raving. And, but I am concerned as a fellow human being. I don't take joy in him drinking himself to death. And that is a bad sign if he's having lots of bleeding, because I'm sure his body is probably screaming in pain, and all the booze, the alcohol, that's not helping him heal. He needs to have a healthy diet and make sure he takes his supplements and, just stop boozing it up.
Yeah.
It's
And
concerning.
you've tried very nicely to explain that to
Yeah.
him, when you've actually been
Mhm.
talking with him. And unfortunately, I think it's
Yeah.
fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah, it's always just a angry retort. Like, no,
Yes.
I'm not drunk. I drink a cup of water for every beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just started drinking at 7 o'clock. Yeah, look, I work out at the gym all the time. Look at these biceps. Yeah. I mean, it was funny though. I mean, he's very entertaining, wouldn't you say? That's why we're all like still glued to our screens watching this ridiculous stuff.
I will say I have laughed at him a fair amount, but I have laughed at other people laughing at him much more. And I think that that's a good way to describe John. And you hit the nail on the head a very, very long time ago, which is, of course, that he's funny when he's unintentionally funny. And of course, Howard Stern said that about him as well. It's that's John.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you, John's gimpy Halloween hand.
The wonderful John Skimpy Halloween hand for $5. Mad respect for Kaylee. She could be Kim Wexler of Public Defendants if she wanted to. Thank you. Seems like she is really good at her job and loves it. I love my job. It's great. It's wonderful to love your job, and it's wonderful to love what you do as your hobby also, which is this, because I love all you guys, and I love getting to work with Judy. It's like such a pleasure to be able to talk with people about stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a weird hobby or very niche interest. It's kind of fun on YouTube to find people who are just as into it. For me, originally, it was that whole Dan Markel case because I had no one to talk about it with in real life. People's eyes would glaze over, or they're like, yeah, that's too bad that this law professor was killed, but whatever. So
It's a wonderful community that we have here.
yeah. Oh, thank you, Rumpled.
Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast, coming in for $5. Miss Judy is right. Alcohol in excess can cause increased bleeding and DJ healing. He is
Delay,
in
I
trouble.
guess.
Delay here. Thank you.
Yeah,
He
DJ.
is in trouble on this one. I hope not, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, he needs to lay off the alcohol. It's just so horrible to see all these effects and stuff. And I did notice he was first he looked red, then he started looking grayish. So, it's
yeah, the
troubling.
gray was really, really troubling. It was
Yeah.
very troubling.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I feel like most doctors don't talk to people about nutrition. So they're probably just like, oh, okay, just take it easy, take some pain pills, come back in 2 weeks or something. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I don't know. I don't even know, hopefully anymore. So we were going to talk about the latest filing within Stuttering John's lawsuit, which of course came from defense counsel Danny Savalos. So we're pulling up that letter right now. Thank you so much. So this is a letter that Danny, who is defense counsel for Carl and Shuley, addressed to Judge Vincent D'Onofrio, who is currently the judge presiding over this case. And this is a pretty damning letter, if you ask me. But the intent of this letter and what Danny is asking the court to do in this letter is he is saying that, hey, judge, I believe that you need to know a couple of things about this lawsuit. The first thing that I think that you need to know is that there might be an issue with the attorneys that are representing John. The second thing that I think that you need to know is that there might be an issue with some of the witness affidavits that were submitted by John's team, by the plaintiff's side. And the third thing is that I would like to request for an in-person status conference in order for us to be able to discuss these issues. And I would like us to discuss these issues before we actually have a ruling on the pending motions and cross motions that all exist under your honor's nose. Would you say that that's a relatively good summary of this here letter?
Yes, it is. Yeah, great summary. And I still feel like this is so weird because we definitely do not do this in North Carolina, which is where I practice, because it can get totally out of hand, as we saw in this court file, where the poor judges got inundated with letters and maybe emails, a bunch of correspondence back and forth with these attorneys. So the judges here where I practice, they don't have time for all this back and forth, nonstop flurry of communications. You can't just contact the judge. You have to file like a response or file a motion, then schedule it. So it's very formal. So it just seems weird that somehow in New York they let people do this with the poor judge. I mean, I don't know how the judges can handle this. Yeah.
This case in particular is even crazier because, as both you and I know, and probably as a lot of people who are watching know, there are just thousands of pages of documents in this case. This is filing number, what is it? This is filing number 82 in this court case. And there have not been, there's only been one decision, and there have been 82 filings, each one. Some of them are 50 pages long.
Yeah.
So, we have huge amounts of paperwork. I can't imagine some judges in New York State still like to have a physical printout of everything so that they can go through it. I can't imagine having, some law clerk come and set down this huge stack of papers on this judge's desk. I imagine that they would be very frustrated frustrated by that. So this letter, although it definitely is not common in many jurisdictions, I think that in New York we see a little bit more of this because so many of the judges in New York State do get kind of inundated. And so a letter like this can kind of indicate to the judge, hey, listen, we kind of want you to maybe put a little stay on the action so that we can look at these issues first. Would I say that this is common? Absolutely not. I would say that nothing in this lawsuit has been common.
Mhm.
And this in particular, and I know that one of the aspects of this filing that you are the most interested in, it comes on the second page, where they are talking about the issues of John's attorneys potentially having quit, and in particular, John's attorney, Tabor Benedict, potentially having filed some arbitration against John himself.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of lean towards thinking that's totally fake. Anyone can just type up a Word document and say, hey, I'm putting it on the internet. Look, breaking news is. I mean, how would anyone even get that? Because arbitration is totally separate from the court system. And
Yes.
that's why a lot of people, especially corporations, they prefer arbitration because it's not public record.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
unless John somehow received it and then he gave it to someone who then posted it on Reddit, which seems pretty strange.
I mean, that is
Yeah.
plausible, I will be honest. I do know that people talk, and I know that there's always a behind the scenes conversations, but I agree with you that this does not seem particularly credible to me. I think that this arbitration notice is likely not a real thing. The only thing that makes me really think that it's real, and I will say actually before I discuss why I think that it has a small chance of being real, I will say that Danny Savalos, who again penned this letter and who is citing this Reddit post that has this screenshot that we're looking at here.
Uh-huh.
Danny does specifically say, I do not have any way of verifying this document, this screenshot. And he says, and quote, there is no shortage of pranksters in this online universe. So even Danny is
Yeah.
admitting this might not be real, Judge. We don't know if this is real. Now, to me, the only credibility to this being real is that Danny, before filing this letter with the court, he sent a copy of this drafted letter to John's two attorneys, Tabor Benedict and Bennett Susser. And if I were Tabor Benedict, or if I were Bennett Susser, and I saw these allegations in a drafted letter, I would be all over the place going, that's not true. Don't tell the judge something like that. Don't even insinuate something to the judge like that that isn't true and accurate and real. And so the fact that they were silent on that to me says maybe it is real.
Yeah. Yeah. It just seems unprofessional for these attorneys of record to completely ignore Danny Savalos. I mean, he's trying to push the case along, whereas supposedly John's attorneys have pretty much shut down and
Yeah.
won't even respond. And that's weird because if you're not representing the client, then you should properly withdraw. You can't just quit.
Absolutely. You have to properly withdraw. You are not allowed to just abandon a lawsuit. In fact, that's one of the reasons that people get law degrees is so that they are doing things by the legal procedures, so that they are doing things correctly, because your attorney is supposed to literally and figuratively represent you. This is somebody who is supposed to be your advocate. They are supposed to be helping you. And if your attorney is failing to help you, either by having a failure to communicate or by not practicing law in the best way that they are able to, then that is a major problem. And when I talked about this previously, I insinuated that, or I suggested, not even insinuated, I said, to me, this seems like it might be a malpractice if there has been this breakdown of communication. What I don't know is I don't know if the breakdown in communication has been coming from John's attorneys, from Tabor and Bennett, or if the breakdown in communication has been coming from John. if John's attorneys are in fact passing this information along to John, not a malpractice to me. It doesn't seem like they're doing anything wrong. They're trying to get John to respond to things. But if they're not even responding to anything at all, and if John isn't aware of the goings on in his own lawsuit, and that's due to his attorneys not telling him things, that seems very serious to me. Would you agree that that's something that potentially could be a malpractice, or am I way off base on that?
I'm going to accuse his attorneys of malpractice because we have no idea what's
We have no
going
idea.
on behind the
Yes.
scenes. Because,
No
you
idea.
know, there've been plenty of times when I was involved in some sort of litigation case and I started having conflicts with my clients, but I still can't tell the opposing side what's going on. Like the client's
Yes.
being a total jackass, or turns out the client turned on me, or, you know, the client's not paying my bill. He lied
Yeah.
to me. You know, I mean, you still have to keep that confidentiality. But if it turns out that for some reason they can't represent him, or they feel like he's not cooperating, or he's not paying them in accordance with whatever the fee agreement said, then the proper thing to do, at least where I've practiced, is you have to file a formal motion to withdraw,
Yes.
then schedule it for a hearing unless your client consents to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a very, very similar process as to New York State, at least my understanding of the process in New York State. So I definitely, the fact that we have not seen either of these attorneys withdraw means that they are still technically representing John, even if there
Yeah.
has been a breakdown in communication. And it's peculiar to me that if there was a breakdown in communication, that they wouldn't just file that in order to get out of it. I
Huh.
wouldn't want to. If there's a reason that I don't want to represent somebody, then boy, oh boy, do I want my name off of that immediately. You know, I don't want the responsibility anymore. Get me out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, can I show something from that
Sure.
arbitration association?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes people think that arbitration is such a great thing because it takes it out of the court system. It's supposed to be faster and confidential, but usually arbitration is usually more of a negative, especially for the poor party. So this is also why I think that it's probably unlikely that the attorney really took it to the arbitration association,
Yeah.
because it actually is kind of expensive for most people to arbitrate because it's not free. So this is
Really?
from the AAA, or they call it ADR.org, from their website. And for a commercial case, you still have to pay an initial filing fee of, let's say in this case, $14.50, plus a final fee of $1,150. And you also have to pay the arbitrator. Most of them are people who used to work for big law firms. So you could get some certified arbitrator who is going to charge you $1,000 an hour. That's not just for the actual proceeding, but also for the time spent reading, you know, reviewing documents, drafting the decision. So it could just be totally expensive to do this.
So I'm very unfamiliar with arbitration. Are those filing fees and those associated fees that you just described, are those things that the plaintiff would need to actually pay for? So in
Yeah.
this case, it would be Tabor would be paying
Yeah.
these fees.
Yeah, so
So-
I've never, yeah, I mean, so why would an attorney say, you know, if we have some sort of dispute, we're going to turn it over to arbitration with a certified arbitrator? Because, you know, if this is a big if he only owes $7,800, then you could wind up spending just as much on the fees to
Yeah.
do it. So, plus, didn't John say repeatedly that he doesn't pay lawyers? It's on a contingency fee basis.
Contingency.
Yeah.
He
So,
sure has.
So I don't know what the truth is, but arbitration isn't free. So let me just
Yeah.
take that. I just want to get that out there because most people gloss over these things in contracts because they think it's a good thing, but it could turn out to be a total negative.
That's a really great point, and so let me see again, I'm gonna kind of make a guess here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I know so very little about arbitration. So let's say that Tabor did actually file this arbitration hearing against John for $7,800. And let's say that it ends up being a wash. He ends up, breaking out exactly even. The reason to do that in a lawsuit that is public might be because you want the vindication of, sometimes you end up losing money in a lawsuit, but you want to do that because you want the person to pay for what they've done. In a lawsuit that is filed with the civil or Supreme Courts, everybody gets to see that they are paying for something that they've done. In these
Yeah.
arbitration hearings, there would be no vindication of the fact that John was in fact in the wrong. So it would be even more peculiar. And again, this is I'm kind of spitfiring and making conjecture here. I would think that if it would be possible for Tabor to be losing money, that he would want to do that in a way where John was penalized both financially and publicly. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I
because you
that's
want
a
it
guess.
on the record that, hey, this person, if it's
Yes.
true, screwed me over, his credit should be harmed. I want a judgment so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, this is a total side note, but let's say he decided to sue John in small claims court because,
Yes.
most small claims court you can sue for up to 10K. It's difficult though because the client is totally far away. At least where I practice, you can't sue the person in small claims court unless they live in the same county where you're suing
Oh.
them in small claims court. So it becomes more of a hassle. And this is why, a lot of attorneys might be like, I'm not representing this person who doesn't live anywhere near me because if they screw me over, how am I supposed to get paid? It's a real hassle to have to sue someone.
That
Yeah.
is very interesting, and of course, it ties into, the Stuttering John lawsuit, against Carl and Shuley because there has been this change of venue from,
Yeah.
New York County, Manhattan, where it was originally venued, to Rochester, New York, which is about 5.5 hours away from New York City, in Monroe County, and so that has been a big change in this lawsuit with Stuttering John, and that, of course, is a part of the alleged communication breakdown between John and his attorneys, which is, are they going to come to Rochester if there are hearings set? If a status conference is set, as Danny Savalos requests in this letter, will either of John's attorneys actually show up in Rochester in order to represent him?
Yeah. The other attorney, is it Susser? Where
Yes.
is he based out of?
He's also based out in New York City.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be a huge expense if they have to go there for multiple hearings and
It
depositions.
it
Yeah.
is, and if they're not getting paid, that money might be coming out of their pockets.
Yeah. I
I wouldn't
mean,
do it.
yeah, I wouldn't do it either. I'd be like, heck no, I'm not driving 5.5 to 6 hours. And who's going to pay for the hotel? Who's paying for the court reporter's fees? It's very time consuming.
Very time
Yeah.
consuming, very, very time
Mhm.
consuming. And especially if there is concerns about payment or if this is all on contingency, you probably go to sleep at night thinking, boy, I could be making so much more money doing something else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also, if you feel like after a while the client's credibility isn't that great, then it's kind of like, do I want to take that risk? It's probably not worth it. You have to weigh the costs and benefits of spending so much time working on someone's case and then possibly getting zero.
You do. And there has definitely been speculation that the reason that Bennett Susser took on this case is because he's a stand-up comedian. So he wanted the closeness to Stuttering John Melendez for the infamy, for the fame. If that is the case, and he took on this case for free, if that is the case, again, big if, maybe he has realized since taking the case on that Stuttering John isn't quite as liked as he was back when he was on the Howard Stern show. And perhaps if that realization is occurring, that could be a reason to kind of take a step backward and feel a little bit more uncomfortable with representation.
Yeah. But I still think getting on this issue of what's his name? Vegas beer sales Jerry, his
Yes.
affidavit. Yeah,
Let me scoot over
I
here.
feel like that issue should be just brought up in their
motion
argument for
practice.
the motion.
Yes.
Yeah, it just seems kind of weird because that has to do with his credibility. So putting it in this sort of weird letter directly to the judge seems a little out of place to me.
I do agree that a judge might find this to be too aggressive. So this was actually brought up in some of the defense motions. The identical affidavits was brought up in the defense motions. So these points are actually discussed within the lawsuit itself. I believe that the reason that this was put into this letter, or at least to me, it seems like the reason that this was put into this letter is specifically because this new video had come to light where Vegas beer sales Jerry specifically states, I signed whatever affidavit the lawyer gave me. And that is concerning. And that makes for a very non-credible witness. And we talked about the lovely Lickum Lisa before with the AFROMAN case. I feel like Vegas Beer Sales Jerry is kind of that in this scenario where we're saying we don't necessarily have a credible witness. And do I think that Danny's tactic on bringing this information to the judge was perfect? I think it was a risky tactic. I will say that. I think that sending it in a letter is a little bit peculiar, but he obviously thought that this was important information for the judge to see. And because it was a newer revelation, he wanted to get it under the judge's nose immediately. And again, as I mentioned before, both of John's two attorneys, both Tabor Benedict and Bennett Susser, had a copy of this letter before it went to the court and didn't object to this.
Yeah, didn't even respond. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And I mean, and I have to admit, it is very catchy because how often do judges get filings or correspondence with this like colorful image of a funny video with John's face on it? That does catch your attention to spotlight it more.
And a comment from a user named Tongue Punch My Fart Box. I mean, you don't see that every day in your legal filings. Of course, we do have to mention that this video does come to us from the absolutely one. Oh, is this one? No, this isn't the one from Dablin Doofus. I lied.
Okay.
Is this the Dablin? There's a Dablin Doofus one and there's a Husey one in here. I don't even remember which is which, but yeah, we get to see these very exciting videos that all mean so much to us. The idea of one day a judge saying in a court ruling based upon the commentary in the video where Tongue Punch My Fart Box sent in a super chat and Vegas Beer Sales Jerry responded to Stuttering John Millette. The idea of that being in court paperwork is like the happiest thing that has ever happened.
I mean, it
It's
does
horrible.
bring some levity to the legal realm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any way you can enlarge that so people can see it better?
I don't know. I am not
Okay.
great.
Because it's so tiny.
It's so tiny. I know. I don't think that I can in the way that I have this shared right now. But
That's
I will
okay.
remind people, I've been reminding people, you can go and look at all of these court documents if you would like to. They are on a website. New York State has what is called e-filing. So all of these documents are e-filed. You can see the date and timestamp of the date that they were filed. So you can see this particular document up in the top left-hand corner was filed on March 27, 2026 at 1:40 p.m. And you can go and look up this case on a website called NYSEF, NYSCEF, if you would like to look at any of these filings yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Voltaire. Can you read this, please?
Of course I can. This is $5. Thank you so much, Voltaire. John is a filthy bum, and this lawsuit is nonsense. But including a fake arbitration screenshot was an unnecessary hack move by Carl and Shuli's attorney. I agree that there is definitely some challenges within this letter, and I have always kind of made the argument if a judge wakes up on the right side of the bed and he's seen the interest and humor in things, maybe he'll enjoy this letter. And if the judge is maybe a little bit more no nonsense, maybe he's going to think that this letter from Carl and Shuli's attorney is too aggressive.
I mean, let me be contrary here. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't call it a hack move because in this situation, you can tell that Savalos is very annoyed with the lack of response repeatedly from John's attorneys. So, I mean, at least he did give the whole caveat that, hey, this is from some Reddit website and this is a community of pranksters. So I don't know if it's true or not, but this could be why I can't hear from John's attorneys. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how the judge responds to it. Hopefully
We
he
will
has a
definitely
sense
see how
of
the
humor.
judge responds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I would argue also to support you on this one, Miss Judy, and maybe to take it a slightly different step, I would call it a hack move to not respond to a draft of this letter. And at least
Yeah.
according to Danny, neither of John's two attorneys responded at all. And I have always been taught that in a professional setting, if there is some reason that I cannot respond to an email in a quick amount of time, that I should respond to that email and say, hello, I'm letting you know I'm in receipt of your email. Please allow me a couple of additional days in order for me to review it and get back to you. And
Yeah.
based on Danny's allegations within this letter, it doesn't sound like either one of them did that. I think if either one of them had done that, maybe we wouldn't have ever seen the light of day for this letter.
Yeah, that's so true because in regular practice, you do want to have some sort of collegiality with other attorneys. So it's
Yes.
pretty common for people to just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't get a hold of my client, or I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to do blankety blank, or, I'm totally swamped this week. I'll get back with you next week. You
Yeah.
don't just ignore them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or I'm on vacation with the love of my life, Natalie. I mean,
Natalie
we
to
could say
Europe.
anything. We could say anything.
Yeah.
This one's from Wade Garrett, $2. Thank you so very much.
Thank
And it
you.
says, hi, Kaylee. Hi, Judy. Hi, Wade. And the lovely Fiore for $2 coming in saying, Kaylee, I love you. I love you too.
Aw.
Getting hyped for August, guys. That's right. We are going to be doing an August Girls Month on my channel, Once Over with Kaylee, where we
Oh.
will be celebrating movies and doing movie reviews with all female co-hosts in order to combat Tony from Hack the Movies Boys Month, where he has all male co-hosts. We're going to kick his butt.
Okay. What kind of movies?
Any movies. You want to join me, Miss Judy? You can pick the movie.
Sure. Look, we got to watch that John Melendez movie because okay, you guys are going to think I'm totally crazy, but I watched it for the second time today because I wanted to soak in the full cinematic experience.
You're out of your mind.
Huh?
You're out of your mind.
Well, I guess it shows how weird I am because
What?
I was listening to it yesterday when I was driving up into the DC area.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I want to see, what was actually on the screen and stuff, because I think I missed some of the jokes and stuff. So I started watching it again this morning over breakfast, and I'm still not done yet. But, I mean, there are some points where I was laughing.
What would you say? What would you say is your favorite scene so far? I know you said
Well,
you hadn't
the one-
finished rewatching it the second time, but what's your favorite scene so far?
Well, the scene that had me laughing over breakfast in the hotel restaurant this morning. Okay, you're going to think I'm so weird, but there's like a scene where John is having sex and then he winds up naked out in the hallway of his
Yes.
apartment or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
And then, then this old lady, these two old ladies come down the hallway, and the old lady says, Gerald was bigger.
Yeah. I actually respect that that's as long as it's not the poop scene, I am happy with your answer to this question.
See, I
I
think
think
you
that's a
sort of
great answer.
glossed over that. Thanks for telling me about that other scene because I was like driving yesterday, so I wasn't paying close attention to it. That's why I'm trying to watch it again. And then, so after the old lady says Gerald was bigger, then the woman who's accompanying her says, "No wonder you're using a walker."
Yeah. I'm
That is
glad that
like
you're enjoying
finest
it.
comedy.
That's what movies are supposed to be. They're supposed to be joyful. I don't think I see quite as much joy in it as you do, but I will admit that that is a funny moment.
Okay, well, yeah, so call me weird or something, but I actually, because people kept saying like I couldn't get past, 5 minutes or something. But I
I think
think,
that's an exaggeration. That's an exaggeration. I agree that it's not a good movie by cinematic standards, but it is watchable.
see, it's watchable. Did you laugh?
No, I don't think I laughed a single time during that movie.
Really?
But I can understand finding moments of it funny. And it's been a while since I've watched it. I will admit that.
Mhm. Maybe you should watch it again. I think
All
it's
right.
even funnier if we watched it together. But how do you do that without getting a copyright strike?
I have no idea. That is mind-boggling to me.
Oh,
That's
well,
I don't know how people do watch-alongs without getting copyright
oh.
strikes.
Okay, because that would totally stink if you spend all this time,
Yeah.
talking about the movie and then, it gets taken down.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully you can figure it out and, still get
We'll
monetized
figure
too.
something out. We'll figure
Yeah.
something out.
Cool. Okay.
Rumpled Trench Coat, a Columbo podcast, comes in for another $2. This reminds me of Miranda versus John's ear mites.
What does that mean? I'm sorry. Like the Miranda case? What? Okay.
This all sounds vaguely familiar to me. But I feel like I have erased it from my memory at some point. So
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for the $2. Yeah. Judy, I barely made it through one watch. Well, call me some sort of weirdo or masochist or something, but I was laughing. I laughed at the truck stop. No, yesterday I laughed at the gas station because I was watching that John Melendez on The Bachelor. Did you watch
yeah,
that?
that was really funny.
Oh,
So funny.
I would love for us to react to that. Hopefully the
Yeah.
person doesn't strike us. Yeah. Oh, okay. So do you want to continue talking about this?
Sure. Well, I know that you had, so of course, let me kind of skip back over. So, when it came to the affidavits, again, you kind of pointed out that this is a little bit of a peculiar way for us to bring up an issue like this within the court systems. But I do think that within this letter, one of the most important things is that, again, the defense team is trying to get something in front of the judge's nose. The defense team is saying, why isn't this moving forward? And to me, that shows a great deal of confidence when it comes to Danny Savalos representing both Carl and Shuli. Would you kind of agree that that is what a letter like this reads as, even if you don't necessarily agree with all the content that's in it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is good because he's showing the judge that he's the only attorney involved who is actually with it and keeping track of the case and trying to be efficient and push it through. So, he does have a YouTube channel. Did you know that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But, just my experience, but doing serious legal topics doesn't grow a YouTube channel. So maybe he needs to start doing Dabbleverse stuff in the future once this case is over.
Listen, I got to tell you, there is nobody that I would like to listen to more than Danny talking about all of this. I hope that whenever DabbleCon 3 happens, that he will be at least one of the attendees, but more ideally on a panel at some point, because his opinion and his behind the scenes knowledge of things will be very, very interesting once this case is over.
Yeah, it sounds like he has tons of experience and he speaks well. So that's wonderful. Yeah.
I agree. I don't have too much more to say about this letter. Would you like to talk about any other aspects of it? And if not, I know you sent me some random notes, and I was
Yes,
interested if
because
you
I
wanted to
feel
go
like
over those.
Yeah, there's just like so much to talk about. Do you need to go or can you
I'm okay on
stay?
time. How are you doing? I could do it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm sitting on the edge of this bed in the hotel room though, so it's kind of uncomfortable, but I'll just kind of wiggle around sometimes to not be so
I
uncomfortable.
suspect that nobody will be sad if you are wiggling around. There was talk the other day of us doing a bikini stream together. So
What?
I think that everybody is going to be fine with you wiggling around.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I'm an old person, so these days it doesn't offend me like it used to. So, okay, speaking of being offended, I was like so shocked at how rude people were towards this poor lady,
Yes,
Karen
I agree.
Feldman.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm assuming you watched this, right?
of course. Yes, I couldn't take my
Yeah,
eyes off of it, in fact.
yeah. Well, I thought she came across as very credible. What do you think?
I agree. I think that she came across as very credible. I think that the things that people have kind of poked away at where maybe she was lacking credibility are because of her general demeanor. And I don't necessarily know that that's a reason that somebody becomes uncredible. To me, she seemed like she remembered the situation very well. She described the situation very well. And of course, the situation that she is describing is working with John on the creation of One Too Many. We should preface that for anybody who hasn't seen this, though I suspect that everybody has because it was quite the bombshell. She did not seem at all to be um, misremembering things or exaggerating things. Everything seemed very natural. So either she really believes that that's what happened and her memory is faulty, or that is what really happened. And I tend to think the latter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in terms of presentation, she could have made her hair look a little better and placed the camera a little bit better, But in terms of what she actually said, I thought that it sounded pretty credible. Of course, John is saying that she's just crazy and she'll just agree or lie about anything. But I mean, it was interesting though. So kudos to WATP for getting this person. It was a
Yeah,
great interview.
it
Yeah,
was a
I
great interview.
just wish people weren't so mean to her because she later said on the Kevin Brennan show
Yep.
that she had been beaten almost to death by some gang member. So it makes you feel sad for her.
It really does. It really does. Um, I, nobody hopes that for anybody.
Yeah.
I am seeing a lot of love for her also, though. I know a lot of people have kind of poked fun at Karen for a couple of different things, but I also am seeing a lot of people saying that she should be Dabbler of the Year for 2026 because people are so appreciative of her commentary. So I guess it's kind of the same thing that you and I, Judy, have talked about quite a few times, which is, if you're going to get the love, you're going to get the hate also, and you just kind of have to let the hate roll off your back, and hopefully Karen can feel that as well.
Yeah, yeah. So since she was so brave enough to put her email out there, plus her cell phone, I was like,
Her cell
why'd you
phone
give
number.
out your
Oh,
cell
I
phone
was
number?
screaming at my screen. I was going, "No, no."
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, because why are people so mean to her? It's like people make fun of me for my terrible voice, but I have medical problems, and it turns out she had severe medical problems too. So, people should just be grateful for what they get. She was willing to come out of this, come out into the public and risk total humiliation to give people some good information,
Yeah.
something to talk about. Yeah, it was very interesting. So I've reached out to her, and
Yes.
so my show makes very little money. I mean, once in a blue moon, I get something great where I can make more than say like $100 or even $200 for a live stream, but a lot of times it's like, oh, I made $3,
Yeah.
or oh, I made whatever $30, but I have to pay taxes on that and whatever. So I offered her $50 if she would come on for 30 minutes with Vince and me on Tuesday. And she was
Yeah.
very prompt. She quickly responded and she was really nice about it. And once again, it made me feel bad for her because she said that she's gotten so much hate and people beating her up online that she can't do it for less than $200. And I was like, I'm sorry, I mean,
Not in the budget.
I don't make, it's very rare for me to make $200 on a live stream. So, but it sounds like she told her story to Carl and to
And to
Kevin.
Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I'm very thankful that she has been talking about this again. I've been very glued to it myself. But I'm also glad that, she has the standard of what she is willing to accept monetarily. I think that is a really challenging thing to do, is to say, hey, this is my bottom line. And not everybody has the ability to actually say no. So I would say good on her for making that stand, although I am sad to not be able to see you and Vince talk with her.
Yeah. But anyway, so I started thinking of legal issues since she said she didn't get paid $40,000 back then, which is what 2006-ish. She didn't get paid. So that would probably be worth something close to $160,000 today.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like maybe she should have been a little bit more aggressive in trying to find John and suing him, even though he was broke back then. Don't just
And
give
almost
up.
certainly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, of course, I don't know the statute of limitations on that type of law, and especially not in California, which is where this would have been. But presumably the statute of limitations for her ability to file a lawsuit has long since expired. I can't imagine that would be more than 10 years.
Yeah. In my state, it's usually 3 years.
Yeah.
This is not legal advice, of course, but I don't even know. I mean, you would assume that she had some sort of written contract with him.
Yes, I would assume.
Okay, thanks to Google, it says in California, the statute of limitations is generally 4 years for written contracts and 2 years for oral contracts. Okay, so this is not legal advice. This is just free, cheap Googling. I went on Google.
Thank you, Google. Yes.
Yeah. So, but once again, this is why when someone screws you over, sometimes it is good to just go ahead and file the lawsuit. Even if you can't find him, she could still at least file it and then potentially sue him through publication. Although that would cost even more money.
Very
to
expensive.
serve someone. Yeah. And then if she got her judgment, then based on whatever the statutory rate is, the judgment would continue to accrue, maybe say like 8% interest each year until it gets paid off, and you can still renew the judgment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's up to her, because once again, it's kind of like, does he have assets to go after? I don't know.
Would it have been
moved.
worthwhile?
Yeah.
That's
So
a
that
very
really
interesting point.
stinks.
Yeah, it really does. I agree.
Exactly. It's like, if this is true, then it just means he didn't even care about burning bridges and ruining his reputation.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like he did then, and to me, his behavior nowadays doesn't suggest that he does now. I mean, there have been plenty of times where people have allegedly turned on Stuttering John, and as a result of that, he has immediately went and start trashing them. So, to me, it doesn't seem like he has a lot of care about professional relationships in that sense.
Yeah, or just maintaining some sort of professional decorum. I guess that's foreign or something. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, thank you guys for more super chats and stuff. Oh, did we read this? Judy, I barely made it through one. Oh, come on. It's actually pretty entertaining.
Judy, you're out of your mind.
I told a couple of people, I said, it was actually more entertaining than Bob Levy's live stream yesterday. I'm sorry, Bob. But see, Bob can take it. Bob is not thin-skinned, and he's
That's a
not
good
gonna
one.
run
That's a
online
really
and
good one.
start saying, "Yeah, dumb fuck, you don't know what comedy is. You're not a broadcaster." Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Dr. Steve.
We got Dr. Steve from Weird Medicine coming in for $10. Hi, Miss Judy and Kaylee. Brilliant commentary and analysis as always. I've learned so much about the practice of law from both of you. Thank you.
Oh,
And
thank
we've learned
you.
so much about fluids from you, Dr. Steve.
Fluids? What do you mean?
That's one of Dr. Steve's catchphrases, I would say. Weird Medicine again, Dr. Steve coming in again is gifting
Oh,
5
yay.
AA Legal Focus memberships. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys are over on AA Legal Focus, subscribed. Turn on your gifted memberships in order to be able to accept those, because Miss Judy's content is truly incredible and you will not be disappointed.
Hey, since you're a pretty cool person, let me ask you a potentially crude question.
Go for it.
Okay, so you know how on the Julie network, when people give them super chats and stuff, they always go like this. Is that
Yes.
supposed to be some lewd gesture?
I am sure that it is, but I actually don't know the origin of it. I suspect that people in our chat right now know the origin of that better than I do. I don't know the origin of it.
Because if it is supposed to be some sort of lewd gesture, then I'm sorry for doing it. But I thought
It's
it was
definitely
kind of fun.
supposed to be that. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, we're getting goaded into doing that every time we're over there.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Florida. I'm going over to TSN Uncle Rico. Have a good. Oh, he's leaving us. Okay, thank you.
I
You turned
respect
on
that.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's take Karen off the screen, but that was like a big legal issue, since I'm into legal issue spotting. It's like, geez, should Karen have tried to pursue John more? Would it have worked out? Because just think of it, if she had gotten the money and invested it, she could have over $100,000 today. I mean, that's a huge sum of money.
It really is. She maybe should have pursued it. I don't know.
Yeah, but therefore, the most she can do now is go around telling her side of the story. So, and she kept saying that, go ahead, if he thinks I'm lying, I have, what did she say, 100 people that would back me up. I don't know if that's true, but
I will be interested to see what happens with that. I don't think that John will end up suing her. I know he has threatened legal action, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. And even so, I think that he would have to prove both damages and also that what she said was untrue and truly defamation. I don't think that he can succeed on either of those aspects. So,
well, I mean, the last thing he needs is another lawsuit. So, I mean, these cases can just totally spiral out of control with
you are correct.
expenses. So, since I did take a few minutes to type up something, do you mind if I just show something?
I'm hoping that this is relating to expenses, because you sent me
Yes.
something that I was very interested in when it comes to expenses. I was very excited to see how you have created this. So
Yeah.
please tell everybody kind of what you have going on here, because this is going to relate, if I am correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is going to relate to kind of general legal filing cases, but in particular, we can expect that these are going to be rough estimates for Stuttering John's lawsuit and costs that he will have to pay.
Yeah, but at the same time, the defendants will incur expenses too. So, people say that he might have just filed the lawsuit hoping for a quick settlement. But it is true that when you get sued, even if it's what you think is a frivolous lawsuit, it is going to cost you something also. And people said that the GoFundMe raised Carl and Julie $37,000. Does that sound right?
That sounds correct. I have not looked at it for a long time, but that sounds correct to me.
Yeah,
I suspect, I'll be honest, with an attorney like Danny, I would expect that an attorney like Danny Savalos, that they have already well blown through whatever money they have made off of that GoFundMe. He seems like a very high-priced and powerful attorney, who I would guess is costing them substantially more than that.
Yeah. Well, and also, he's a New York City attorney, or at least he has an office in New York City. And the
Yes.
rents there, the overhead is ridiculous there compared to what, paltry amount I pay. So it is very expensive to have some sort of like New York City attorney representing you. So that's just the way the cost of litigation goes. So this is just like very, very rough. I mean, maybe I should double it, because what do I know about costs of New York City attorneys? But, you have your initial court fees, serving the persons. Do you know if Carl and Julie got served by a process server
They
or the
did get
sheriff?
served by both of them got served by process servers.
Okay, so that costs a little bit more than paying the
Yep.
sheriff to get them. So maybe that was like, I don't know, 150 to 200 per person. Then the depositions are where it gets really expensive, because you have to pay the court reporter for their time, not just being there, but also typing up the whole entire thing. So the longer the deposition lasts, the more expensive it's going to cost. So I'm just guessing it's going to cost over $1,000 per person. So that's
A
not
lot.
even plus attorney's fees.
Yeah.
Then expert
And of course,
witnesses.
we haven't gotten to that point yet. So we won't get to those
Yes.
deposition costs until we get to trial. And of course, no trial dates have been set yet at this point. So we're before this. This is just if this legal process continues.
That's why. So of course, good for Savalos for being aggressive now, because he really wants to nip the case in the bud. It's already dragged on long enough. Didn't it start like in August or September or something?
I believe it was August 7th of 2025. So
Okay.
we're not quite at a year yet, but we're closing in.
Yeah. So if for some reason the motion to dismiss doesn't get granted, then you would move into this whole discovery phase where it could get pretty expensive for depositions. And then, well, the expert witnesses, I was just kind of thinking, like it would be John who would probably have to hire an expert witness to help prove his damages and stuff. But maybe he wouldn't even be able to find someone, though, because
What?
you would just look at his tax returns, look at his YouTube revenue,
So what would you
10
think that
times.
this expert witness would be an expert in? In understanding damages to a Hollywood celebrity? I mean, that's a very
Economic.
niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like an economist or something, or what? Now I'm drawing a blank, like someone who knows about someone's career earning potential, or the
Yeah.
effect on his potential earnings because he was being made fun of and they used his image. What's the value?
I would be interested to see who he could possibly call for that. I would be very interested in expert testimony at a trial like this.
Yeah, and I think you probably touched on this before, but his mental health records and medical records could become fodder for discovery, because that's relevant too if he's claiming that it caused his kids to become estranged from him and caused him a lot of distress.
Yep, and that is
Yeah.
something that he brought into this lawsuit that was not brought up by the defense attorney, Danny Savalos and Carl and Shuley. That's something that John brought in, and as soon as he brings that in, it does come into play within the lawsuit. So I think that makes sense to me what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, just like with this whole AFROMAN trial, it kind of came back to bite the plaintiffs, because they probably didn't realize they're going to be questioned like, so what were the real reasons for which your marriage fell apart? Or, tell us more about your mental health treatment, and what kind of medical problems did you have? Did you get diagnosed with anything? Are you on medications? It could be potentially very embarrassing. Yeah. Plus the whole income stuff, that could be embarrassing
Oh,
too. Like
yes,
how
I think
much
that
revenue. Yeah. Mhm. How much
Right.
revenue did your YouTube channel make before this happened, before
Yeah.
DabbleCon or whatever it's
Yeah.
called? Yeah. So, okay. And then, I don't know. Do you know this? Like, do they get required to mediate before moving forward to trial?
I don't believe that it is a requirement in cases like this. So this is a little bit different than cases that I'm typically used to looking at. I don't believe
Mhm.
that it's a requirement, but I believe that it's something that the judge can order.
Oh,
When
okay.
when you say like a mediator's fees, is this the equivalent of like a settlement conference? Is that
Yes.
kind of
Yeah,
okay?
sort of, except you have to usually you hire a third party, some certified mediator who charges an administrative fee plus charges per hour, and someone has to pay for that. So it typically gets split among the parties, and
Yeah.
it could take a whole day, maybe
Yeah.
even more than a day. And usually people by then get real because they're sick and tired of the whole process and they want to be through with it. But in my state, cases are routinely ordered to mediation before you can even get to a trial.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that that's relatively common in New York as well. Again, I don't know exactly for this type of tort case if that's going to
Yeah.
apply or not, but again, I
Yeah.
think your other estimates are maybe a little bit low. So even if these mediator fees don't exist, probably we would be looking at higher fees in the other categories so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, maybe there is no need for expert witnesses here. Yeah. Because, for example, John's tax returns would speak for themselves. You don't have to have some sort of forensic accountant or an economist to interpret his 1040
Yeah.
or his
Yeah.
YouTube 1099.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. Which again, that puts some scrutiny on him because what if he didn't file tax returns? Like it's all going to become public eventually,
I
potentially.
would hope that he thought about things like that before he filed this lawsuit, but for some reason, I don't think that he did.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Then of course the travel costs, this is why I was thinking, would anyone actually want to get local counsel as opposed to someone who has to travel so far? It's going to just accrue more and more for expenses.
Something that's relatively common within New York State, I don't know if this is common in other states, is having kind of like of counsel that will do work for you on a per diem basis if a matter that you are overseeing is not within your county. So, for example, if I were an attorney and if I were practicing across all of New York State and I had a court case that was in New York City, I would have an attorney friend in New York City, and I would say to them, "Hello, can you go represent my client on this case? Here, let me brief you on the case." And I would take responsibility for those sorts of things, but having this sort of counsel is relatively common in New York State. So it's possible that either Danny Savalos has of counsel or that he plans on coming to Rochester. I hope I get to meet him one day.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
it's
I'm sorry, but
oh no,
on
go
the
ahead.
other hand, this is why you hire a hotshot attorney like Danny
Yes.
Savalos, because you
Yes.
want him to argue every single motion. Like, I personally wouldn't trust some, per
Joe
diem
Schmo.
attorney. Yeah, like some guy whose law practice isn't that great, so he'll just jump right in and show up. And,
Yeah.
like, unless it's someone I've worked with before, like, or a good friend, then I would trust them to do a good job.
I will say that if Danny was my attorney and Danny said to me, "Listen, I'm not in Rochester, but my really good friend is in Rochester and I trust them," I would trust Danny in saying that. So if Danny said to me, "I would like this buddy of mine to go and represent you at this hearing. He has been fully briefed on everything," I would trust Danny with that. That being said, I agree with you. You want Danny there. That's the whole point, is having Danny there.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know. I have speculated before, and of course, this is just entirely a guess. I don't think that Tabor Benedict is likely to have these of counsel sorts of friends. And I think that Bennett Susser might be more likely to have somebody like that in Rochester that might be able to appear on his behalf. But who knows what that person is, who that person is. And I don't know that I would trust
Yeah.
Bennett Susser as much as I would trust Danny.
Yeah. Well, if they do get local counsel, I'm sure everybody will be doing research on that person too.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
I mean, I
yes.
think it's kind of hilarious how people have found these ridiculous pictures of Benedict. What? No, Tabor. Yeah, these ridiculous pictures of him. I mean, sorry to say this, but he just seems so pretentious.
The man
Yeah.
loves himself, Judy. The man loves him. We were
Yeah.
talking earlier about how we love getting like the cat calls now. He would cat call himself. That's what I feel about Tabor. That's who he is as a person. So,
Yeah. Yeah. He seems like a kind of a quirky fellow. So,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, so my random comments, like we already talked about some of this stuff, but $2 Dan, I still have no idea who he is, but he's
Yeah,
showing
me
up
either.
on John's. Who is he? Is he a comedian?
He is so he has a podcast. It's called Nice Podcast Stupid. I don't know a lot of what he's doing. He seems to be a contrarian. He seems to really enjoy drama, and that's as much as I really can say about him.
Okay. Well, he did say something that I thought was a little strange today,
Yeah.
where he was just poo-pooing things to John and saying like, "Oh, those are just motions." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Just motions? This motion could totally get rid of the lawsuit. So you can't just say, "Ah, that's just normal stuff and don't worry about it. It is
Judy,
serious."
Judy, you don't understand. You and I don't understand anything about this lawsuit. $2 Dan knows everything about legal practice because surely he is an attorney and has gotten a 640 on his,
LSAT.
LSAT, whatever. I can't remember any of the numbers or any of that. Surely that is what is happening in this situation. We just don't know. Dan knows way better than us.
Okay. Yeah, but I do seriously want to know,
Yes.
like, who is this person? He just kind of popped up and, he's saying stuff about the lawsuit that I don't really agree with. So, yeah. Okay.
I
But,
agree with you. My
oh,
cat has
nice
broken
cat.
into the room, so hopefully no
Oh,
kitty buttholes. Apologies in advance if there are some. He gets a little rowdy at this hour at night, so
okay.
this is
Okay, well, I'll
Booger.
wind it up, but I did
Great.
also want to note you said in your live stream recently that the
Yeah.
judge can do whatever he wants, although within bounds. He
Yes,
still
of
has to
course.
follow
Yes,
the
yes.
law. Yeah, Donalfo, that's his name. Yeah, so within bounds, he can't. I mean, even if he didn't get his morning blank, like he's still supposed to follow the law. So,
He is.
yeah.
He is.
Okay.
I also got another criticism. Actually, I want to correct one more thing from that
Okay.
video. First of
Sure.
all, I want to say you pointed out that, of course, you still love Morse verse. We have to make sure that everybody knows that. But in addition to that, I actually said that Danny had spelled therefore wrong, and I was totally wrong about that. I'm just stupid. That's
Oh,
okay.
well, I didn't even notice that. So
Danny's better than I am. I don't know.
it's okay. I mean, it's hard because when you're just doing a live stream show, sometimes you misspeak or, whatever. So we're not perfect. So
We're
this isn't
juggling a
court
lot of
TV.
balls over here. Listen, over at
Exactly.
TSN, they're doing this. We should be juggling balls over here.
Oh,
It's a crazy time.
Okay. Shuli's lawyer believes the fake document. What a dumb. Well,
I
he
think
didn't say he
said
believed it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he did give that whole spiel about how he wasn't sure if it was for real. Yeah. So, but thank you, Reverend. The hand gesture is supposed to resemble yanking two blinks at the same time. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry for doing that by accidentally insulting people and being crude. I just thought it was a fun, happy gesture.
Listen, it's a fun, happy gesture for a lot of guys. I will tell you that much.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Wade, for explaining that. Thank you, Fram K. 8:08. Okay.
Frank, thank
So
you.
while I have you here, because I just think it's so funny, can we just do a
Yes.
very quick reaction to part of that spastic, or not spastic, static times?
For part of the which thing? I'm sorry?
You know, the John Melendez on The Bachelor.
Oh, yes. Yes, let's close out the night with that, and we will say goodnight to everybody with that
Yeah,
because it is
this is
just so
too
wonderful.
good. This is so good.
It's
Please
amazing.
don't strike us or anything. I will
Listen, we're
gladly.
gonna make commentary over it, right?
Yeah, and we're trying to give the person publicity because I never even heard of this person's channel before, but it's called Static Times. There's a link in the chat to please subscribe and support this. I mean, it's so good that you assume Mike Morse did it, right?
Everybody is thinking that.
Yeah, totally. That's what I thought. Okay, you ready?
Celebrity
Tell
Bachelor
me when you
Stuttering
want to
John.
stop.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
tell me
Let's
if you want to
go.
stop to do
To
commentary.
be with me, you'll have to earn it.
Taking place at the most exotic location John is able to afford.
Will you grab me another beer?
7 women who are happy just to be.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
there's already an error. It's not beer, it's beer.
Bia.
You grab me another beer.
All right. So, what's your initial reaction? Which woman does John choose?
Well, I kind of feel like the one in the middle looks the best. She looks
In the love hoodie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's hard to say. She's wearing shorts, so I feel like she could get along well in his Cape Coral home. I think I might go with you on this one. I would like the answer to be the lady with the gray hair. I feel like she might be able to whip him into shape. I feel like she's got that, she's going to be able to
Full
scold
marm.
him just enough. Yeah.
Well, also I feel like the woman in the middle looks the most like his ex-wife.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So just based on looks, I would say that lady in the middle. Okay, let's keep playing it.
On TV.
What do you mean you don't have beers? She's paying. We need beers.
Okay.
Tempers flare as contestants compete for John's attention.
I already went on a date with him. It's your turn. Girl, please. I had to sit through his dumbass podcast.
Too many women have had to say that.
I love that. I love that. I don't know who wrote this script. It's got to be someone as great as Mike Morse. Yeah.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
I know. That is hilarious. And I like how they try to be racially inclusive. So they have the token Asian woman and the black woman and Hispanic woman.
Truly, truly one of the most diverse groups of women that I've ever seen. Amazing.
Okay. This is great, isn't it? I
It's
can't believe someone
amazing.
put this together.
So talented.
Okay.
Now, these women set their sights on a man unlike any other.
I'm not one of those guys that showers every day and I don't use toilet paper. I'm a manly guy. That's what women like about me.
Some nights will leave lasting connections.
One time I was sitting with Pamela Anderson and I swear to God, I could have banged her, but she's not really my type.
Uh-huh.
Take care of the check, will you?
I don't want to do this show anymore.
Now, 6 women open their hearts in an unforgettable summer of
Open
romance.
the door any faster?
He's a nice gentleman.
Like where she has to open the door for him.
Well, yeah, of course she does. She's got to do everything for him. She's cleaning up hungry man dinners off the floor.
Mhm. And like, doesn't this kind of remind you of how most men feel like they're entitled to much younger and much hotter women than they're really entitled to?
I don't even know how to make commentary on that at this point in the night. Yes, I guess so, but definitely not John. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, people were criticizing him because he would always start bashing people's looks. And they would say, well, he should look in the mirror himself. Once you're that old, you're not entitled to, 20-year-old skinny college chicks. Yeah, but
No.
it seems like he's still stuck in that mentality.
Yeah, he truly believes that he deserves every woman on the face of the planet.
Yeah, until
Especially
they
the young
turned
pretty
on
ones.
him.
Yeah, until they turn on him. Yes.
They're a bunch of whores.
Yeah.
Okay, this is so funny.
Hope he picks me.
Not every woman gets the opportunity to date the star of the Howard Stern Show and the Tonight Show. These women are lucky.
Are you really that famous?
Are you kidding me? I'm a successful comedian and actor, and you're going to pretend you don't know who I am?
And when romance is on the line, heartbreak is inevitable.
Susan, on our last date, I asked for something simple, a full body massage, and you hesitated. And then you lied. That was
And there's your hand gesture, Miss Judy.
That AI can do such great things. This looks
It's
like
incredible.
real actresses.
It's really incredible.
Yeah, and actually, John looks younger in this, so he
Yeah.
should be flattered. He looks younger. Okay, let's skip ahead because I don't want to totally rip off this person. It's called Static Times, and the link is in the chat. Okay, this is hilarious too.
Challenges are met and secrets are
Kept squeezing
revealed.
my shoulder with his sweaty ass hands. And that smell, it was like fresh dog shit left in a bag of gym
His
socks.
breath is usually what knocks me out. Have you ever seen him without a beer in his hand?
No,
never.
I keep telling myself this will be worth it if my influencer thing takes off. I think Doris is the only one actually into him.
I knew it. I knew you broads were lying.
This summer, expect the unexpected.
I'll be suing all of you for misrepresentation. And you know what else?
Yay.
I was only attracted to one of you. You're all off the show.
In the end, anything can happen.
And let me tell you, the amount of money that I would pay to see Stuttering John as the Bachelor after watching that fake trailer, which is absolutely incredible. I would kill to see that. It would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love to find out who actually put this together because I hope they continue it as a series. And this is just, it's all parody. It's like AfroMan. People derive great joy and laughs, and, you know, it's fun for everybody.
We
So-
have so many amazing creators within the Dabbleverse. You know, we get to see people like Judy. You might start with listing Mike Morse. I'm going to start with people like TTTT. I want to start with people like Dablin Doofus. We have all of these people, people like Baloney Factory, all of these people who are incredible creators and so talented at this very specific thing that they do. And the fact that we get to all enjoy all of their creations makes it so much better of a community. And
Yeah.
I can't say enough good about this community that we have. So I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, thank you for drawing attention to the legal aspects of this whole thing. And, you know, I look forward to seeing more stuff on your channel also.
I couldn't be happier than to be able to work with you on stuff like this. This always feels like such a joy to be able to talk with you about legal stuff because I think that you have such an interesting take. I think that you're so fresh and so thoughtful and also so knowledgeable. And so I really, really appreciate being able to work with you on things like this.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much. It lasted a lot longer than I thought, and it's pretty uncomfortable sitting on this pillow here on the edge of the bed. But
Go enjoy the rest of your time. I appreciate, again, Judy, to be able to talk with you about this. Again, if you guys are watching over on my channel, do not forget to go subscribe over at AA Legal Focus. It is truly amazing over there. You will not regret it. And of course, you will have see you next Tuesday, this Tuesday with Vince.
Tuesday
the lawyer,
at 5. Yeah,
Tuesday
we might discuss some of the legal issues too. Depends on what Vince wants to talk about. So thank you, Kristen, for touting Kaylee's channel. Please like and subscribe both of our channels. Thank you. Okay, well, have a good night then. Great talking to you. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for watching and
Awesome.
supporting.
And I'll stop doing the little happy.
I'm going to do it double for you now.
I'm so sorry if I was offending people. Okay, take care. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.